Hey everybody, this is Bonnie. Welcome to Friday Fun Live. I so missed everybody last week. It's been 2 weeks since we've been together. So we have a lot to catch up on. So anyway, so glad that you all could join me. Let me go ahead. I just want to start out by saying hello to some of you who've been waiting so patiently in the chat. Angie, good morning to you, and to Brat's mom. So glad to have you in the chat. She says, "Good morning, Bonnie, Hannah, and all my dear Yarny friends. Please don't forget to smash that thumbs up button if you want to. Please hit that. That will help this go a little bit further. Maybe spread a little more crochet joy around." And Cynthia Dalton, good to have you from Franklin today. Oh no, wait. Let me read that again. She said, "Hope to tune in. I'm sitting with my sweet great nephew Franklin today." Okay, I'm thinking of Franklin, the place, because I know some people from there. So sorry I jumped ahead. And Wanda Gordon, good to have you in the chat. From Bahama, North Carolina. She says, praying everyone is well. I so agree with that, Wanda. And Alana says, good morning, y'all. Hope all is well. And Lynn, good to see you in the chat, Lynn. Um, she says, thank the Lord for you today. Thank the Lord for you too, Sister Lynn. You're such a sweetheart. And Sandra Harper, glad to have you with us. Um, she says, just got back from 10 days in Kona, Hawaii. Had a great time. Wow. What a blessing to be able to do that. Reminds me of some friends in our church who are getting ready to celebrate. I think it's their 50th wedding anniversary, and they're going to go to Hawaii. So happy for them as well. And Jane, good to see you. And Cynthia Burke from snowy Illinois. And Ekstrom, welcome. Says spring is here in the air, here in southern Sweden, with crocuses and fields of tiny blue flowers. Oh, how sweet. We have some crocuses growing up in our yard just over there as well. Daffodils are in yeah, that's right. Daffodils are in full bloom. And I drove back into town from being in South Carolina for a family get together just a couple days ago, and noticed the tulips in the medians of the highway were blooming. So really neat to see things coming back to life. This time of the year. This is the time of the we have a clear view to this little man-made lake behind our property during the winter, and after all the leaves have fallen. But now, um, we still have a clear view, but pretty soon that's going to be all crowded in with beautiful green leaves from our trees. So we're looking forward to that. We have Rita. Good to see you. She says, a sunny day in South Jersey. Yeah, it's kind of overcast right where we are today, but kind of cool. Expecting a lot of rain. But enjoy that sunshine while you can in New Jersey there, Rita, because rain is coming. And Red Hook, glad to see you in the chat. Um, she says, hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're doing well, Red Hook. I'm still praying for you on the prayer list. Hope you are doing well. And Josie, good morning to you. She's joining us from sunny Northern California. Wow, that's great. And Vicky from Eastern Washington, and Diane from New Jersey. Got a couple New Jersey folks here. And Tammy from Oregon, Chris from Fort Worth. She says howdy from Fort Worth, Texas, and Melinda from Macau, Asia. Wow. Well, welcome, Melinda. That is a long way to hear this broadcast. And Mary, yes, happy spring to you too. And Teresa from partly cloudy Utah, and Roxanne and Dave Smith from Toronto, Canada. Ooh, Toronto, Canada reminds me of South Korea, because that's the only time I've been to Toronto was on the tarmac at your airport on an Air Canada flight to go to South Korea. Um, I do hope to get back to really see the town at some point, not just the tarmac. And actually, we were literally on the tarmac. You know how you have these things that you can walk through? Well, we had to walk down the steps and out onto the ground to switch off on our plane there. It was pretty cool. Actually, it was very cool. It was very breezy too. But I really hope to get to Toronto someday. And Sandy from Pennsylvania. And Alma says, "Good morning from Spring, Texas. Haven't been able to hop on in a while. Hope everyone is doing well this Friday before Good Friday." Yes, 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 yes. Thanks. And Alma, I missed last week entirely. So I really am glad to be back. So glad you could join us. And Sandra says, "Love what you're wearing." Oh, thank you, Sandra. This is just another version of the Abigail shawl without the trim because I didn't have enough yarn in my stash. This was clearance yarn that I bought years ago. I made this years ago. But anyway, I just connected the two with my um, jewel design stud buttons, which I love, love, love to wear. Helps to make my shawls wearable in ways that I normally wouldn't be able to. So yeah, this is an old pattern up on the site, just the Abigail shawl. And instead of using the thicker yarn, I used a mohair, which was a lace weight, and I oversized my hook. So it's always fun to try that. But if you use mohair, which I love using mohair, make sure that you understand the pattern clearly so you don't have to rip anything out because that's really hard to do with mohair. Um, some would say impossible. I would say I don't plan on ripping it out if you're making anything with mohair. But if you can live with that, it's a wonderful, wonderful fiber to work with. All right, and we have Christine from Ohio, Miss Miss Vivian. She says, "Welcome home." Thank you so much, Vivian, and happy spring to you too. And Dave Smith said they're having a snowstorm here today in Toronto. Ooh, wow. Well, you can keep it up in Toronto if that's okay. No, really, it's been chillier here. I was used to the warmer temperatures down south for a few days, but even down there it got a little cool. So, like they say about spring and March is in like a lion, out like a lamb. Well, we're still waiting for the lamb. Keeps going back and forth. Um, and no, Cynthia, like I mentioned already, yeah, this is an old pattern, just different yarn, just different. It's really funny how you could take one shawl pattern and change up the yarn, and you can have any number of variations on it, which is so much fun for me to do. Hey, Wendy in Hagerstown, hope you all are doing well. Um, yeah, I was thinking of you this morning and hoping that your husband and your father-in-law are doing much better. I know that's been a while since you asked for that prayer, but I just want you to know, just continue to pray for them and pray for you all and hope everything is well. And Susan B, hello to you. And Jane, thank you again just for your comment about the shawl. Yeah, just check them out. And if you don't, in case you didn't know, if you look at the home page on my channel, look across the top, you'll see playlists. And if you hit playlist, it's sectioned out for you in, instead of in categorical, instead of just as they've been released order, which is the video order, you can look at that list and see, you can click on shawls and stoles and there's a whole list of different designs there. You can just go right, to what you're looking for. So I just wanted to make that clear. There's so many buttons I know and things to push on these devices on the different platforms. It's always a guess, but go ahead and play around with it, and you'll be surprised. You might find some real gold mines in there. Um, and Diane, good to have you in the chat. And Ola Joe, good to see you out there. Um, and Connie from Lewisburg, Tennessee. Oh, my husband was driving through Tennessee yesterday as he was driving on his way back from Georgia, dropping one of my kids off home. And Dorothy, good morning. And oh, thank you, Ekstrom. She says your sky blue shawl is lovely. Thank you so much. Oh wow, Ola Jo says that she's been to South Korea for the Olympics. It was a great time. I'm a little jealous. That's wonderful. Um, yeah, we were there in 2019. It was before the pandemic, and it was just serving a sister church. We did a kids camp, a kids English camp for a few days, and that was a lot of fun. We didn't know Korean. They didn't know. Well, they knew probably a little bit of English, but we knew no Korean, they knew no English, but we ended up really having a great time together. Um, did a lot of crafts with him, did a lot of singing. I brought my guitar there too. Had no trouble carrying it all the way to to South Korea and back. It's kind of funny. I did take my guitar to Colorado, and that's when I had trouble. But all the way to Korea and back, no trouble whatsoever. It was just a great time with the kids, and it was really fun just hanging out with some of the folks afterwards and seeing the war memorial. Because my dad had fought in the Korean War, and just being able to see where he was just incredible. Um, Mrs. Vivian said, I knew it was the Abigail one. Yeah, you're smart, Mrs. Vivian. You all are smart. But anyway. And Heather says it's snowing in Michigan. Whoa. Um, and yeah, wow. And Wendy says, thank you for your prayers. Hubby is doing well. Dad is slow going. Okay, I will continue to pray for your dad then, Wendy. I didn't know if it was your dad or father-in-law, but I will continue. God knows who they are. It was just so wonderful. And Mrs. Debbie, good to have you in the chat. And Jet One N. Hello to you. She says, I was hoping to get your books on Etsy, so they're signed, but I saw someone were out of stock. Any idea when they'll return? Great question. They actually were put back in the shop as soon as I got back into town, which was about 48 hours ago. So if you look again, they are all there. And let me just go ahead and lead with that since you asked that question, because many of you may not even know that I sell books. You may think that I just do YouTube channels or do YouTube videos, which I do, and I love doing that. But just wanted to show you some of the options. I have Bonnie's Beginning Book of Crochet, which has, I believe, 18 designs in here that I'm not going to show you all of it. You just have to trust me, okay? Because I don't want to waste too much time. But this has many, many, many designs, 18 designs, and it has complete video tutorials to go with it. As you can see, it's not a real thick book. And I did that by design because I've seen some beginning books that were like encyclopedias. I don't want any beginning crocheter to ever think that they have to read an encyclopedia before they pick up your hook. I have about 2 or 3 pages in here, big print, easy to read, take you less than 5 minutes to read through some of it. Pick up your yarn and get started. You don't have to know all there is to know about crochet. Trust me, I've been doing it for more than 50 years and I'm learning new things all the time. It's great to learn new things. You don't have to know it all before you get started on your first project. So anyway, if you want to pick that up, it's on Amazon.com and other outlets, I believe, Walmart.com, places like that. It's also in my Etsy store, and I sign my books before I send them out. And if you see a discrepancy in prices on my books, you probably could buy them maybe $1 or $2 cheaper, but most all of mine ship out free in the US. So keep that in mind when you look at the prices and like, wait a minute, it's like, well, I'm paying shipping. So, and I don't get a special deal on shipping. This comes out of my expenses. Okay. And we have an easy beginner book on baby blankets. And I think, yep, there are 11 baby blankets in here. Again, complete video tutorials for right and left-handers. Cable Crochet Made Easy. This is an older book, but it has 18 cable designs in here. Again, videos for all. Some people have said, oh, the video links don't work. They all work. You just have to plug them in correctly. If you have any trouble getting to any of these designs and you've purchased this book, contact me, bonniebay@me.com. I can send you the link. Most of the links in here are not on my public channel. I believe there is 1 or 2 that might be public now, but the rest are still only through the pattern or the book purchase. So that's that. 4 seasons of cable crochet throws. There are 6 throws in here. And again, complete video tutorials from beginning to end. Celtic cable throws to crochet. I believe there are 7 designs. 7 in here. And again, complete video tutorials for all of the patterns. This is an oldie but goldie. This was the first publication I ever made. This is more than 14 years old. Let's see, 15. Well, 14 or 15. I submitted them 15 years ago for publication. I have one video tutorial for one of the 5 throws in here, but I have video tutorials for all of the stitches to get you through any of those that you need. And again, this is an older book, Contemporary Celtic Crochet. I have some of the patterns in here with video tutorials. You can always look on my playlist. But I do have the stitches so that you can learn all of the stitches for what you need for these designs. And last but not least, Celtic Cable Crochet is another one of those older publications. I recently completed the Lavina poncho that you see on the front cover. It's on my channel now. And I do have the Orlaith robe sweater also, and I think a couple others in here. But again, the stitch videos for all the stitches are on my channel. You just have to go to this playlist and look them up. Look under Erin Celtic Stitches, and you should be good to go. And you know how to get me, bonniebayatme.com, if you have any questions on any of that. So, Hannah has joined us. Yay, Hannah. Let me see if I've missed anything here. Getting back to the chat. Oh, Cynthia says they have 2 to 3 inches in northwestern Illinois. I'm guessing you're talking snow. And the daffodils and tulips are confused and think they're in the wrong season. I think it's amazing how I've seen that. We've had that here in years past where you have the daffodils come up and then it snows. I'm just amazed at the resiliency of these flowers, like pansies. I don't know why people refer to people who are kind of wimps as pansies, because have you ever seen a pansy in the snow? Well, and those things are tough. I mean, they can withstand the heat, they can withstand freezing temperatures. Pansies are strong. Anyway, I've seen pansies and daffodils and all of them just take the snow and just move it out of their way. It's quite amazing. Um, Again, Jet in one. Thank you so much for the question and the prompt there. Uh, okay, she said, I'm definitely going to pick some up then. Well, thank you for your support. Yeah, I mean, and I signed them all going out the door. And if you're looking for a special gift for another crafter friend and you want me to, sign it to another person, just tell me that in the instructions, and I'm really happy to do that. And from Jenna, love for crochet, Jen's love for crochet. I'm prepping to make your Celtic braided sweater. Celtic braided sweater. Okay, okay, okay. I had to think which one that was. That's the most recent one. Would you think using the side cedar Shawly yarn is a nice substitute? 10% wool, 10% alpaca, and remaining acrylic. About 1 to 2 W. I am not personally familiar with that yarn. Jen's love for crochet. But it depends. If it's a if it's a number one sock weight yarn, definitely give it a try. The big thing with these sweaters is following gauge. So it's just being careful to measure what you're working on. Uh, Again, I don't know the thickness of that yarn, so it's really hard for me to say. But if it's a number one or an extremely light number two weight yarn, you should be fine. But again, do a little gauge swatch and see what you come up with. Okay. Yeah, I would love to see that in an alpaca wool acrylic blend. I bet that would be really nice. All right. So we got Hannah back in the chat. Thank you for being here, Hannah. She's juggling today. She's serving grandma. And thank you all. Mrs. Barker had a lovely 95th birthday. We had a great time. Let's talk a little bit about that. It's been a lot of water under the bridge since we've been together last. It was about 2 weeks ago today. We had the last broadcast, and we were getting ready to go to the Stephen Curtis Chapman concert over in Arlington, or was it near Arlington, Virginia? And we had a wonderful time, a wonderful time. If you've ever been to a Stephen Curtis Chapman concert, this was the first time, and I've been listening to his music for decades. And I tell you what, it felt more like a family time in his living room than it did a concert, which I say that in high praise, that it was so wonderful. It just felt like visiting a friend. Very, very nice. And we were able to get on, I think it was like we were on the front row, like the second or so or front row. We were really close off to the side so that Becky could leave with the baby in case, he became a problem. And he wasn't. He was great throughout the concert. So that was a blessing. And and since that time we've had it's been kind of crazy. We had two family members over the course of that week because Becky was visiting, and then we had my son Joseph and his wife came to visit us. And I don't know if I mentioned, but we had to take Becky to urgent care. She's fine. Everything is fine now. It was fine by the time of the concert because we had to get her better so she can go to the concert. So she was fine. Antibiotics are such a gift of God to our generation, and they're pretty new. I mean, they didn't have penicillin until sometime during World War II. I mean, during the early 1940s. So we haven't had these gifts of medications that long. And again, and then Joseph's wife had to go to urgent care, and they took her to they said, no, you need to go to the hospital. So yeah, it's been a crazy time. She's doing much better. She is well. Again, antibiotics. It's just been a crazy season. Got her better, and then it was time to head to South Carolina, spend some time there with the family, um, and then come back. So I'm back, still trying to figure out where things are. To be honest with you, it takes me a couple of re-entry days to really get acquainted. And to top that off, I'm really excited about this. I'm going to be teaching tomorrow at a place locally here in Maryland. It's a retreat for the Columbia Knitters Association, or there's a Columbia, Maryland knitters group. And if anybody's listening, I'm just really excited about going there. It's a small organization, and they invited me to come teach them to crochet, which is really cool. So I'll be doing a beginning crochet class. This is for experienced knitters. So that'll be fun. And then I'm also going to be teaching them some crochet cables. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. So be hanging out with the dark side of the force. No, I'm just kidding. Hanging out with a group of knitters. So I may even just take my knitting along and maybe get some pointers from them as I work on the yoke of my sweater. Okay, well, let me go ahead and get back. Let's see, let me get back to the chat here. Susan AB, good to have you in our little group here. And Alana and Cynthia Wanda, thank you for welcoming Hannah back. She's always busy. And Cynthia Dalton says, I made it. He's having lunch now. Well, welcome back, Cynthia. And Infinity Zero. Okay, Nessa, hello to you. That's a cool name, Infinity Zero. Kind of reminds me of Buzz Lightyear a little bit, but anyway. All right, and I got Jen's question already. And yeah, thanks, Ola Joe. She's telling Hannah, better late than never. Catch it. Yes. All right. And Hannah sending me another question from Ms. Vivian, which says, I'm wondering, what is your favorite approach to crochet sleeves onto sweaters? Attach it in the round and then continue, or make a flat or complete sleeve and then attach it? That's a good question, Ms. Vivian. I've done a bunch of different ways. I've done sleeves to where you actually shape, kind of shape the sleeve cap, which is below the rest of the sleeve. I like doing it that way, although that's a really tricky when you're sizing it for different sizes. So that's not my most favorite. Now, when you make the sweaters to where the sweater, when they're lying on just laying out where the arms are just straight out, that's not my favorite. I know that's the easiest way to do it, but that's not my favorite because you end up with a bunch of bulk under the arms. My current favorite, and I can actually show you a sweater in process. Okay, the Celtic braided sweater that I finished. Do I have it? It's upstairs. I don't have it with me, but I made that as a winter sweater with sleeves. Now I'm making another one with different yarn for the summer. So I'm going to be, making this. This is really nice. I'll show you the yarn in just a second. Okay. But to answer your question about the sleeve, um, my favorite actually is when I'm making sleeves for something like this, since this already acts as a sleeve cap. It's easy to just go around the edges of this round and around and around and around with the wattle stitch on this particular design for the sleeves. Although for this particular design, I'm not going to add sleeves. I may add a trim up here with the ribbing around the collar, or I may not. I'm not sure yet. And it'll look fine either way. But I've got some of these, the body. It was kind of funny. I was thinking the other day, well, if I was about 40 years younger and a little more daring, I could stop right here and this could be a crop top. And I say that because some of you may crochet for other people, and I know crop tops are in, but not for me. I've had 5 babies. I don't want to show my tummy in public anymore. I guess that was TMI, but anyway. So I mean, you could even make the length of the sweater any length that you want, and it does look like just a tube. But let me show you that there's a lot of what we call ease with this yarn. And let me show you the yarn. This is the color that I'm using now because this comes in solids. But yeah, I've shown this to you before. This is Universal's Bamboo Pop Sock yarn. This is a number 1 or sock weight. Obviously, it's sock yarn. And I used a different color for that yoke, but I do have this yarn to make another design. And again, it's a beautiful changing colors. And you can look online to see how those things play out in some stitching. But each of these little balls of yarn is packed with a lot of yardage. So don't be put off that it looks like a small ball of yarn. This has 492 yards of, it's super fine. It's a number 1, like I said. It's 55% bamboo, 37% cotton, 8% PBT, which is kind of like spandex. So it's not super stretchy, but it's stretchy enough that when you make a garment like this with it, it has some snap back. It's not going to just lose its shape. Which is why I love this, and it's breathable materials. It's cotton, bamboo, so it's going to be great for the summer. So I like when you have to get back to the sleeve question, and I'm probably going on too long about this. Since this is already partly covering your arm, when you go around and around on a designated number of stitches, it makes for a nice sleeve, and that's what I did for the winter version of this. Um, I like to do whatever is best for the design. Now some designs don't work well when you sew the sleeves on. The sweater behind me here is one in which you can see here, this part of the sweater is the sleeve cap. In fact, let me show you what I'm talking about. Here we go. This is actually a sleeve that I cut off of a jeans jacket. And the reason I did that is because I have a project that I'll be releasing. I hadn't planned on showing it to you. I'm going to hold off on showing it to you. But what I ended up doing is cutting the sleeve off very evenly. And then what you end up with is a pattern for the sleeve. If you want to crochet a sleeve for this jacket, which is what I did, I just used this as my pattern for the sleeve, because that way, it could, increase on the sides in the same way that it needed to in order to fit the way the original sleeve fit. And then you get the curvature of, the sleeve cap, if that makes sense. So the sleeves are not just straight at the top. There is something there on this particular design. And this is the way this was made. And of course, this part it, the seam is underneath. If you can see the seam right here. So in this particular styling, I definitely prefer to make the sleeves and then sew them on. I sew the sleeve cap in first, and then I connect the arm and the side of the sweater. That's just the way I like to do it. So I know that was a long answer, but I hope that that made sense to you. Ooh, wow. Um, ooh, Chris says, working on my on a hill far away Afghan as I listen. Oh, I hope that is going well for you all. I hope it's going well for you, Chris, and some of the others who are doing that. Um, and Barry says, having to keep gauge scares me. Although, although when I have done swatches, it always comes out like it says on the label. Yes, that the tricky part too with gauge, Barry, is that oftentimes you're you're measuring gauge on really a stitch. That's the traditional way that patterns are written. It's really hard to, and that's just to gauge how your gauge is on particular stitches. But the tricky part is oftentimes there are other stitches in the design, which is why when making a sweater, and I always encourage people, yes, try to get your gauge as much as possible. But even like in this particular design, once you have gotten to the point, I'll just try to hold it here, where you have an idea of the width. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. The width of the shirt is to compare that to a shirt that fits you or whomever you're making this for. Because if the width is working against the sweater, or if you have a mannequin to your size, you could slip it over that. Most people don't have the luxury of that. I don't even have one that's to my size, and that's always changing. So but if I have a shirt that I like now, and I just lay it down flat and then compare the stitching. I mean, if this comes out to be 2 inches tinier than the original shirt that I'm comparing it to, I know I'm in trouble. And I always tell people about, and the second round is stop and check. And if it's not working at that point, with this particular design, it's easy to adjust because you can go back. You'll have to rip out 2 rounds. But with the part here, I start out with chains and the wattle stitch. And so what you can do is add additional multiples of 3. Make sure you do it on both sides in order to add in extra width. If it's too big, you can just take out some of the chains in multiples of 3 to make this smaller. And again, that's one thing I love about this particular yarn is there's a lot of ease. So even if you're off by an inch, it's going to fit because it's going to stretch a little. But you want to make sure it's fitting exactly the way you want. I don't like to wear things too tight. Okay, Hannah's sending me another question. Um, and what is the name of what you're wearing? I can't find. This is the Abigail shawl. If you look for the Abigail shawl, it'll be different colors. I made many in different colors, but look for Abigail shawl, and that will give you all the stitches. And the one that you're going to see has a nice little border on it that this one doesn't have because I ran out of yarn. But yeah, this is the Abigail shawl. And from Diane says, Bonnie, could you please tell us about the shawl clips you're wearing? How do they work, and where can we get them? Okay, let me grab one of these. This is going to be a little commercial for Jewel Designs, but I'll try to be brief. Jewel Designs, I think there's a link in the video description below, but if not, it's JUL Designs, DESI. Let me just go ahead and put it, I'll put it in the chat so you'll have it. Okay, jeweldesigns.com. I just put it in there. And she has a lot of different designs. These are like little stud buttons, and this is how they work. Here's another, beautiful. If I can get it to shine, there we go on that. And what it is, behind it is this little button and a piece of leather, and you just pop it off, put it through the material and to hold, and you can see with this distance, it can hold some decent amount of material, and then you just pop it on, and it's temporary, and you can, take them off and move them around. Okay, and she has, all different kinds of designs. She has some, I think, in gold tone. Um, and these are real shiny, and she has some that have kind of a brushed silver look to it. She's always coming out with new designs. So anyway, these are great. I use these a lot. I've got another set that I just keep attached to another shawl because I have it connected in such a way that I can just throw it over my head and go. I don't have to spend time, styling it for 10 minutes in front of the mirror. I know I like the way it looks. I just put it on and adjust it and I'm good to go. So I'm not always having to, throw it over my shoulder or I have to tell you the reason my friend Laura got into selling these, and she had a very special shawl that I think her mother or somebody very special who had already passed, and that was a special gift she had in memory of this person, and she was riding the metro, I mean, the public transportation, probably the metro in this greater Washington, D.C. area we live in, and she lost it. It fell off and she didn't know it and she lost it like forever. And so that kind of began her mission to make sure that we crafters get our shawls out. We don't just make them and pack them away, but we get them out and we wear them and we use them and enjoy them and we style them beautifully and we don't lose them. So yeah. So that's what that's about. And yes, Hannah, I am getting your questions. All right. Let me go ahead and show you what is coming on Monday because we haven't shown you this in a few weeks. Um, so this coming Monday, we will be releasing the directionally challenged scarf. So in this scarf, you see giant granny squares. And weeks ago, I asked many of you, how do you feel about granny squares? And I got quite a mix of answers. Um, I was determined to make this, but I wanted to hear what people thought about the idea of a granny square project. So I tried to switch it up a little bit. I'm using this beautiful color changing Noro yarn. And no, I did not stop and change the yarn on these granny squares at all. This is just the way the yarn came out, which is why all of the squares look a bit different. And then I surrounded it with swatches of the arrow. So you can see the arrow is going directionally up and down and around, and it does that continuously. And at the end, has this beautiful fringe. And it's a very long scarf, but it's one of these. I know it's going to look strange, but the shawl, you know what? Let me go ahead and take the shawl off. 'Cause like I said, I can put it right back on, of course, static with all this wool. um, but this is a fun scarf to wear. You can wear it up like this. I mean, you can even double wrap as a shawl if you want, bringing it up and around. I mean, there's just a lot that you can do when you have the length that this is, and this is actually cotton, so it can be kind of fun to wear. Um, all right, so I mean, there's just a lot you can do, and you know what? You could even use the buttons to even secure it in a couple of places if you wanted to, so you don't have to, just keep, playing with it. Uh, no, no, Hannah, the tutorial has not been released yet. This is coming on Monday. So this will be on Monday. And you know what? If you don't want to run out and buy expensive Noro yarn, you don't have to. You can use this as a stash buster. You can just go to your stash if you have color changing yarn, or if you just want to do plain, just solid color granny squares, you can. If you wanted to change at the end of every round, you can do that if you have the knowledge to do that. And I have other videos on my channel that'll show you how to do that. You can certainly do that and make it just to eliminate the extra yarn in your stash. Um, that's what's so cool about granny squares is you can do anything you want with them. But I just like the idea of continuously crocheting in the round without having to stop and change colors and hide all the loose ends. So you don't have to do that. They are connected with the slip stitch. Tried using the knurl stitch and I honestly didn't like it on this design as much as I thought I would. But with this, you end up seeing, you see the seams on the outside, which is kind of like a nice, it gives that boho look. Let me see if I can show you this, where you can see the seams a bit. But, it's just oh, I'm just gonna leave this on. It just feels nice and cozy, and especially, if you're tall, I mean, this is really nice because it really does flatter, and if you don't want it to be as long as this, just make fewer squares. It's as easy as that. If you want it to be 20 feet long, we'll just get a lot more yarn and make more squares. It's so easy to adjust. You guys are smart. You know how to do this. Um Let me get back to some of the chat. I think, um, yeah, I did that. Ooh, I have an announcement. Before I get back to the chat, I have an announcement regarding the watch channel. Just to let you all know, I sent out an email from the watch channel this morning to those of you who are subscribers. Thank you very much for your kind support there. Um, As you know, the crocheting beautiful trims and borders, that video is available from the last live Zoom class that we did. It was one of the live classes, that one of the 2 classes that I did on that. And I just wanted to let you know that the class for April is gonna be early in the month. It's gonna be April 2nd, and it's going to be Celtic Weave and Beyond. And in this class, I'm going to show you how you can do Celtic weave in, I believe, 4 different ways. Traditionally in rows, working it in the round, working it with increases. I think I'm doing that. And also, well, increases in the sense of when you're making it into a yoke, how to do the sweater yoke in the round with increases. And how to do it with more multiples. So we're going to explore that a little bit as well. So that's going to be on April 2nd. That's a Tuesday. I'm going to have 2 classes available, one from 2 to 4 p.m. These are Eastern times, and the other from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern times. I don't know if I'll have any more classes for the month of April because one of my children has been really blessed down in Georgia with being able to purchase a house. Yeah. So I'm really happy about that. But what that means is they may need help moving. So I don't know what my schedule is going to be like in April. Once I know what that schedule is going to look like a little bit better, then I will let you know if I can add another class for this month. I don't know that I will be able to for April, but one thought that I had is there was such a large response to the beginning knitting for crocheters. If you're a watch subscriber and you want me to do that class again with you, reach out to me and let me know. The video for the beginning class that I taught back in February is up on the channel. So if you think you need additional help from that, do let me know. Okay. So get back to me. If anybody is interested in joining the watch channel, please look in the video description. There is a link for that. It's just watch dot. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. Okay, watch.bonniebaycrochet.com. And with this, you get the content that's on my YouTube, most of the content on my YouTube channel, plus additional content that is not public in the way of designs. There are a lot of PDF patterns that can be downloaded as complimentary. So like when when this pattern goes live on Monday, it's going to be available on my watch channel without commercials and with the complimentary written pattern. For those of you who aren't watch members, that's okay. And the pattern is also going to be available in my Lovecrafts store, and I'll probably upload it also to my Etsy store since I'm starting to get more traffic there. But if you don't want to buy patterns and you just want to be able to download the PDFs for most, not all, but most of my content there, um, you can join the watch channel, and it's $7.95 a month or $79.50 for the year for new subscribers. And that will also include, you would also be included in the live Zoom class should you want to participate with those when I offer them. Again, it's complimentary. There's no extra charge for that. And I do have other exclusive content, some behind the scenes, some complete classes that I teach it at national conferences or have taught at some national conferences. I have a version of that where you can download the worksheet and learn from that as well, plus recordings of the Zoom classes. So there's a lot there. Should you be interested and you want to take your crochet level to the next notch up. And it does include things for beginners, intermediates, and there's some advanced material there as well. All right. I think I've gone through most of my agenda. Let me get back to the chat and see how everybody else is doing. Um, and Barry saying, oh, let me go back here, see if I missed anything. Okay, I think I'm caught up with Hannah. Let me see if I can. If I miss anybody, I apologize. I'm just going with the feed that's coming into my live chat here, and I really am trying to be as inclusive as possible. Um, Barry says, all of these are on my list of wants. All right. And then she says, where we are starting warmer weather here in Georgia. Yeah, we were not down in Georgia, but we were down in South Carolina. It definitely felt good to not go out with a jacket, but I like wearing my jackets and shawls and ponchos, so I'm good either way. And Eric, welcome. He says, hi, all. And Cynthia says, I love the little fair submission advice book I won on your live. I learned so much. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. And those are also available on my channel. I didn't show you everything on Etsy. I do have that. And there's a super scarf book. There's also a book on baby blankets. I mean, there's just, let me look and see. I don't have them here where I can just grab and show. But yeah, that, let me grab one of those now that you mentioned that. This is what Cynthia was talking about. It's winning at the fair. And it's just it's kind of an advice book, and it encourages you to enter your crocheted items at the fair, especially if you're doing the cables and stuff like that I kind of specialize in. If you do it neatly and you hide all those loose ends beautifully, you're going to do well. I dare say you will ribbon in something if you just the way the traditional, I mean, the way I can't speak for all fairs because I know some are small and they may not be as regulated as others. I've participated in my local fair. I now go mostly to. I observe the judging. I haven't gone to judging school, so I don't have those credentials. But I do give a special award. I've chosen not to participate as a I don't bring my stuff to try to win ribbons anymore. I love doing that, but I feel like it's better for me if I go to offer prizes. And I do offer special awards, and they have a monetary gift attached to it as well for my local fair here in Montgomery County. But this kind of is a little autobiographical, a little bit about my story, how I got to where I am right now as a designer. But I think you'll learn some things in here about applying. And first of all, just don't be intimidated at all. And I'll try to tell you in here, just it's very, 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 very quick read. I mean, just pictures, big print. I mean, it's just maybe not even 45, 50 pages of information, very quick read. So if you're looking to want to enter things in your local fair, this is the time. This right now is the time to start thinking about that, not a month or 2 weeks before the fair opens. Get your things together now. Put them, things that you complete that you want to enter, put them in a bin or somewhere, keep them safe and clean, um, and get them ready. And again, this kind of explains, or at least the one that's used in the state of Maryland. I go through an official judging sheet and explain what they're looking for. And just by understanding what the judges are looking for helps you to know what you need to do to present your work well. And I just it's a blast. It's a lot of fun to participate with that. Okay, Chris Barnes says that they are a new subscriber and haven't gotten an email. Um, I sent it out this morning. You may want to check your junk email, Chris. Um, hmm. Said no, it's not there. What I would suggest you do, Chris, is to go onto the watch channel and double check to make sure that we have the correct email, because the information that we get is what the subscribers plug in. So maybe check to make sure that we have the correct email, because I did send to everybody um, who is subscribed, or at least according to Vimeo. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know how that works. So um, you just might want to check that just to make sure. But you don't need to read my email to send to sign up for the class. If you're interested in signing up, just send me a quick email that you're interested and tell me which class. Is it the 2 to 4 or the 7 to 9? And I'll put you on the list. I only have one person who's emailed me so far. So I mean, the list is very clear. You could take your pick as to which class. So thanks for sending that to me, Hannah. All right. Let me get down here a bit. Thank you for prompting me with that, Cynthia. And Ola Joe. Oh, this is sweet. Just talking to Nessa. Um, and Judy says, I just finished shoveling 7.5 inches of snow here in Lindstrom, Minnesota. Glad to be back in my crochet cottage. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's just, I cannot imagine having snow for that long. We've gotten, dumped on in years past, where you're going through little hamster tubes, but it didn't, not like you guys in Minnesota. I cannot imagine um, being so cold for so long, says the girl who was born and raised in South Florida. um, but wow. Hmm. Uh, okay, Barry's talking about having to keep gauge. Okay, scares me. I remember reading that. Yeah. So we did talk about that. Um, all right, I think I'm finally catching up. Thank you, Barry, for your kind comments too. Um, we have Mimi Loves Crochet. Hello, Mimi Loves Crochet. So glad to have you in the chat. And let's see. Okay, I'm getting messages from both sides here. So Ola Joe, I'm glad you guys are checking on each other. That is so sweet. And Hannah sent me a question, says, do you have a square rainbow blanket? I sent the one, um, hmm. Yeah, there is a square rainbow blanket. Let's see, pattern. There is one in my book. Hold on, let me get a book out again. Okay, there are two. There's the rainbow baby blanket, um, which is more recently released, which is basically a ripple. But there is another on my channel. It looks like this. It's crocheted into a square. If you can see that, yes. And this is only available, the pattern is available in this book, Self-Striping Projects. And I believe I do have a couple of these still. I do have these on my Etsy page, and they're also available from Leisure Arts. So yeah, there is another one that is square out there. Um, that's rainbow in the sense of the colors, whereas the other rainbow baby blanket was named slightly different, to celebrate rainbow babies, which are babies born after a miscarriage, which has been our family experience recently. So that's why we were celebrating our grandson's birth with that particular design. So yeah, it's the self-striping projects. Again, an older design, but that video for that design is on the channel. Um, okay. All right, we have Fiber Floozy Crafts. Hello there. And Johnny, it's good to see you in the chat. She says, I'm working on the Easter Afghan up to the lattice section of whatever it's called. um, yeah, I hope you're enjoying that one. That was just a joy for me to design. Um, and going to back up a little bit. And Diane says, our fair here in Southwest Florida is at the end of February. Wow. I've always wanted to enter a fair. Better get busy for next February. Actually, Diane, this is a great time to get ready for it. You have a whole year. And I don't know the rules of your fair, but generally speaking, you can only enter things that have been completed within the calendar year. So, and then once you've entered something, you're not supposed to enter it again. Although people at our fair try that year after year, and it's like we have to ask questions like, "Didn't you enter this last year?" um, it happens, and you just have to go with people's answers. And the burden of the truth really falls on them, um, in the end, anyway. But but yeah, so this is a great time too. You just have more time to, add to it, add to the pile. In fact, I used to do that in order to be able to pay the entrance fee. It kind of helped. The money that I would win from the fair designs would kind of counterbalance how much money it took to get 5 kids and a mom and dad through the entrance gate, because our fair tends to charge a lot of money to get in, which is not the norm for most county fairs. But I've tried talking to them about that, but don't have ears to hear, unfortunately. But yeah, if it takes, $70 to $80 just to walk through the gates, that's kind of a deterrent. I probably said too much already, but anyway, so we enjoyed entering things in the fair, and seeing the animals, and everything. Just a lot to take in. That's really wonderful, despite the whatever it might cost if yours is pricey. I know down in the South, Florida's used to be free. I used to go to the Dade County youth fair and enter things there, and I loved going in there. Um, Mimi loves crochet. Says first time she's made a live here. Well, it's so good to have you here, Mimi. Um, and and Najla, good to see you in the chat too. And Dawn from Nevada. Wow, new subscriber. Well, welcome, Dawn. We are so glad that you could join us. And DM, is it Tuzo? Good afternoon from New York City, New York, USA. Enjoy a safe and blessed weekend. Thank you so much for that greeting. And freehandly made AU. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm probably not catching the gist of that, but thank you for joining us nonetheless. Um, oh, yay. Brad's mom is going to join us for the Zoom class. Thank you. I will get to that after my lunch today. Um, okay. Um, yeah, so I think Hannah's got the rest of you caught up. Oh, thank you, Red Hook. She said the Wash Channel is a great investment. That's our goal. We want it to be there just to be, a constant uh, source for you all. Um, Wanda says, "Good morning, Bonnie. It's so good to see you live once again. God is good." Yes, He is, Wanda. Was thinking of you this morning, my dear. Hope you are doing well. Um, yeah. Oh, and Chris, you never have to apologize for misspelling anything here. We we major in that sometimes. Nothing but grace, my friend, coming from here. Um, all right. So let me. We have. Oh, Debbie said she just completed the Easter throw. Thank you so much for the tutorial. That reminds me, if you all, when you complete this throw, I would love to get a collection of pictures and then just make like a slideshow with them. So if you want to send me your picture of uh, the Easter throw, on a hill far away, please do. I would love to put a slideshow together for the future going forward. I may have to put that out in my newsletter. Speaking of which, the newsletter, if you're not signed up, it's free. You can go to my website, bonniebay.com. Let me go ahead and put that in there. It's Bonnie Bay Crochet, or just I'll put it in bonniebay.com. And if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, I try to send it out every week, but that hasn't happened this past month because I've been in and out and things have been kind of crazy. But I'm going to try to spruce that up a little bit. I'm going to try to add um, kind of a free pattern from the archives every so often. I'm going to try to make that a little more worth your while, and just put a little more time into that. I'm going to try to get one out early next week, and I have a list of things that I want to add. So I just want to be able to communicate the things that I'm communicating to you now, but just kind of in newsletter form. And I might put a family photo or something here and there, that's a little more private, so that it's not out, on the World Wide Web, in the same way. So I have lots of fun things coming, and was able to use my grandsons, and some photography for some new designs coming, in regards to baby books. So lots of things happening. Well, thank you, Connie, for joining us. And let's see. I just don't want anybody to be left out. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So okay. I think I saw Dawn from Nevada, and thanks again for being a new subscriber. And I just want to make sure I don't leave anybody out. Okay, I read that. And all right. And Carol G, good morning to you too. Um, oh, thank you, Fiber Floozy Crafts. She says so many wonderful things on the Wash channel. Thank you so much. And Teresa, um, thank you for your support there, my friend. Um, all right. Well, I think I'm going to. Oh, wow. It's Flourish Faith and Fiber with Jana K. That is a cool channel. She says, hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Hello. Glad that you could join us this week. Ooh, and then Cynthia says she has about 10 rows to go on her Easter throw. I would love to see that, Cynthia. You know where to send it. For those of you, if you want to send the photo to me, bonniebay@me.com. And if you give me permission to share on social media, when you send that would be great, because I always want to have permission to share them before I do. Um, we have T. Len Dixon from Kentucky. Oh, I love Kentucky. um, my childhood very best friend is buried there. I know that sounds sad. Was sad. I lost her when she was only 28 years old, but she's in Kentucky, and her family, part of what's left of her family, is in Kentucky. So I love to swing by there when I can. And Bobby is in Kentucky. So whenever I get through Kentucky, which hasn't been in a while, I love to stop by and, see them. Well, let me go ahead and it's a little bit after 1. Yes, Floozy Crow says Kentucky is a beautiful state. It absolutely is. Um, and the people that I knew there are just really beautiful people. Well, I wanted to read something before we go. This is for those of you who are new. I mean, I like to read a little bit of Christian encouragement because I need it. And hopefully it will encourage somebody else out there. And I'm going to read again the words to a hymn. I'm reading out of a hymnal. And since we are in Lent, the season that leads up to the crucifixion and the resurrection of our Lord Jesus, I thought it would be nice to read another one of my favorite hymns. I'll try to get through it. This was written by a lady named Elizabeth Clephane in 1872. And the music in 1881. Looks like a lot of times they would put poetry to music, and maybe that's what happened here. This is called Beneath the Cross of Jesus. Beneath the cross of Jesus, I fain would take my stand. The shadow of a mighty rock within a weary land, a home within the wilderness, a rest upon the way, from the burning of the noontide heat and the burden of the day. Upon the cross of Jesus, my eye at times can see the very dying form of one who suffered there for me. And from my stricken heart, with tears, 2 wonders I confess, the wonders of redeeming love and my unworthiness. I take, O cross thy shadow, for my abiding place. I ask no other sunshine than the sunshine of his face, content to let the world go by, to know no gain nor loss. My sinful self, my only shame, my glory, all the cross. Mm. That hits home. I really love. I just need to be reminded constantly of truth in this world, of all the information. Not all is good or right, but just things hitting us from all angles and all views. It's just I have to go back constantly so that I'm reminded, to be centered. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me today, and I wish you a wonderful week. Next Friday, I'm still planning. I know next Friday is Good Friday. It's very Good Friday. I plan on being here. May even start with the song. Don't know yet, but we'll see what we can figure out before then. So you guys have a wonderful week. Love you. Bye bye. God bless.